If you love cruise ships, it will infuriate you when friends or family or the dude in front of Asda says, I don't like cruises, or a cruise ship's just a cruise ship. As we already know, anybody who doesn't like cruises has either got the wrong impression completely, or they've just been on the wrong ship for them. Cunard is not like P&O, is not like Virgin, is not like Celebrity. Next time you're recruiting for the cult, maybe Cruise Lines as Cars will help you explain the differences. Here, ladies and gentlemen, we go. Cunard is BMW. Wait! Hear me out. I know that a lot of people would jump straight to Rolls-Royce or Bentley when they think of Cunard. But that is because they have not thought it through. Or maybe they're a hyacinth making the classic mistake of confusing traditional with high-end. I mean, how many Bentleys have you spotted at CPS? I love Cunard, don't get me wrong. I love it for what it actually is. And that is a mainstream line with a traditional ethos. It is not high-end. It never has been. It did used to be a premium line, sure, but it's never been a super luxury line. In times gone by, it was old BMW. Today, well, it's today's BMW. I'm old enough to remember when a BMW would drive past and all the dads would lean back, put their hands on their hips and whistle approvingly. It was a fancy motor for people doing a bit better than the rest. A banker, a businessman, a footballer, or a local hoodlum making big bucks flogging stolen Beatmax recorders. Fast forward a few years and I'm an 18-year-old who was born into a poor family, admittedly to very hard-working parents, and that is my 3 Series Coupe over there. Fast forward a little bit more to today and swing by any McDonald's car park on a Saturday night. You'll see Gavin, Big Dave and Steve-O and the rest of the boy racers leaning against their BMWs with all manner of tats bought from Halfords glued to them to improve them. Every sales rep on the M6 is sat in a 3 Series, that's Britannia. Every carpet shop owner is rolling around in a 5 Series, that's Britannia Club. There's a certain type of mum wearing heavy makeup, pyjamas and slippers in the co-op and you know that's her X5 outside, Princess Grill. And whose accountant or solicitor doesn't have a 7 or 8 Series? That's Queen's Grill. Last year, BMW sold 125,000 cars in the UK. Ford sold 110,000. So, which one is more exclusive? Celebrity is Volvo. Or Saab, if you're old enough to remember them. A firm step up from Ford or Vauxhall. Theoretically, sitting in the forecourt hierarchy above the likes of Ford or Renault, but not quite level with an Audi or a Mercedes. But, in reality, they're at least equal. Because as we know, Celebrity, like Volvo, don't do discounts. Picture an architect. He's tall and slim. He's wearing chinos and a black roll neck sweater, ultra thin rimless glasses. He probably carries a jacket hooked on one finger and slung nonchalantly over his shoulder. This guy drives a Volvo. And when he goes on holiday, I mean obviously, even though he's British, he calls it a vacation, he doesn't even consider anything else but a cruise with Celebrity. I don't want to call him Volvo drivers or celebrities smug, but they really make it hard not to, don't they? Royal Caribbean is a Hummer. Big, it's loud, it's packed with gimmicks. Look how big this thing is. Popular with little boys of all ages. Either one of them is a bit of short-term fun. Listen, I like needing a run-up to make the driver's seat or being flung across the flow rider and injuring myself as much as the next man. But who wants to nip to Tesco in a Humvee? Who wants to turn up to pick up a date looking like Timu Arnie? Royal Caribbean is similarly exhausting. Trafford Centre fake streets are fine for a day or two, a week even. But it doesn't take too much carnival music, ice cream and pizza for you to really fancy a nice sit down with a book and maybe some food made from ingredients instead of E-numbers and chemicals. Princess is Mercedes. It's a nice mix of new and old and everything's the way that you think it should be. A Mercedes still feels premium-ish, but it's within reach of most people. Princess, same. There's also a bewildering range of packages to add on and none of them quite have everything you want. and they all have stuff that you don't. Run flat tyres or 2 premium desserts a day or whatever. Neither would be where most people would spend their lottery win. I mean, you don't get many passionate supporters on either side. But there are very few people that wouldn't return to the dealership next time they're in the market. MSC is a Tesla Cybertruck. You often aren't quite sure what it is you're looking at. You just know it's giving you a headache. Some people absolutely love it. But even normal people like you and I have to admit that it's, striking. A bit like Yacht Club, a Cybertruck means that someone has spent a lot of money. Similarly, it reminds you that money cannot buy taste. Crystal Staircase, anyone? Bit more Ministry of Sound than Buckingham Palace, isn't it? More a lack of style over substance. Ambassador is Dacia. It's smaller and using older tech than the rest of the market, and it's still a bit niche. When you look at the numbers, you can't help but wonder, how do they do it for the money? I've got my suspicions, but I'll tell you more about that in December when I sail on Ambition. At the time of writing, a top-of-the-line Dacia with everything on it is a fraction over half the price of the cheapest new Ford. Similarly, 16 nights in a suite on Ambience is a few pounds over half the price of 19 nights on Aurora, both sailing around the Med. You never hear a bad word said about Ambassador or Dacia. Maybe they should get Clarkson in for an ad campaign, star on a reasonably priced cruise. Virgin Voyages is any Chinese EV. The marketing promised an experience like never before. The hype train says it's going to take over the world. Older people are unnecessarily suspicious of them, and younger people have got a smaller frame of reference, so they're more open to the idea. The reality is that when you get behind the wheel, they're more or less the same as any other, and you wonder what all the fuss was about. This, boys and girls, is an experience very similar to many that you've had before. Just a bit tackier looking with uncomfortable seats and some poor design. Once you realise that some LED mood lights aren't that revolutionary after all, you start to see features and just wonder, why? Do I need door handles that pop out electronically? Am I ever going to bounce around on a 4-person seesaw? Will I ever use AI-powered infotainment when I can just click play on Bon Jovi? Is wandering around the red light district in a red jacket really that enjoyable? And both are quieter than you thought they would be. Fred Olsen is Jaguar. Devotees are loyal, and even if you've never driven one or sailed on board, you know that they exist and you've got a quiet respect for the brand. Yeah, Fred's got sat-nav and parking sensors, but it's the walnut dash and perforated leather that you remember. Both have appeal for people of all ages, but for every young buck in an F-Type, there are 6 old chaps wearing a tie on a Tuesday and an old XJ. When a Fred Olsen customer is going out for dinner, they aren't going to Nobu for teppanyaki and Japanese whiskey. They're going to go to a nice country pub for a roast and scotch by the fire. P&O is Ford. The UK's best-selling car is the Ford Puma. Want to guess which cruise line sells more tickets from the UK than any other? Fords do the job. They aren't cutting edge or setting trends, but they aren't out there being radical or upsetting anyone either. The main selling points? Well, it's fine. Something for everyone, does the job, and decent value for money. You don't get as much for your dough as you used to, but better the devil you know, innit? Carnival is any American car being driven in the UK. When you see a Carnival vessel, you instantly know it's a cruise ship. It's like spotting a Cadillac or a Corvette. When you see that red funnel or notice a steering wheel on the left-hand side, you think, I'm glad I'm not getting in that. Louder than what you're used to, it's got a cheaper image, and if you make the mistake of getting too close or, God forbid, getting in one, the shoddy quality and tacky plastic interior will make your teeth itch. Sure, it is a car, just one that's not as good as anything else from anywhere else. Carnival is basically MSC without the tasteful restraint. Imagine that. So, there you have it. A few handy notes for 10 quite different cruise lines. Next time you need to convert a civilian to cruising, give these examples a try. If cruise lines were cars, done.